They had a far greater faith than fire. The three Hebrew boys had been in the fire, but there was no evidence that the fire had been on them. In other words, they were not burned, they were not smoky, and they were not defeated. The fire had no power over them. When they came out the fire, they were as fresh as they were when they went in. Anybody know our God is greater than the enemy's hottest fire? Our God's spirit is stronger than their smelliest smoke. They were as fresh when they came out as they were when they went in. They came through the fire, but they didn't look like what they'd been through. They didn't smell like what they'd been through. And they in no ways acted defeated. Oh, my brothers and sisters, if the Lord has been good to you, you ought to act like you're a conqueror. They were conquerors in the fire with our Lord. Verse 28, then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, blessed be the God of Shadrach for serving God. But now you say, blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel, delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word. Did y'all see what happened? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego became evangelists to the king. The king ain't even talking like he used to talk. Said has changed the king's words, yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own. The same one who condemned them for blessing God is now praising God. Remember, they were cast in, but God stepped in. Because God stepped in, the king continues in verse 29, therefore I make another decree, that every nation and language which speaks anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces. Their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. The same one who condemned them for blessing God is now praising God. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Listen here, they were cast in because they would not bow. But God stepped in because they kept the faith. And the king saw them walking together